This is Saxton Hale, a massive muscly Australian that can survive countless rounds of bullets, muster up enough punch power to kill an average person in one hit, and is the owner of a multi-million-dollar weapons company. And this is Spy. Okay, while he may look unassuming compared to the other mercenaries, especially Saxton, that's exactly what he wants. So today I'll be showing you guys the best ways to take down Saxton Hale and be the good, helpful little spy man you are. Alright, before we can get into the meat of the video, first let's start with all the changes in Saxton Hale for Spy. First and foremost, all of the on-kill effects for his knives were changed to on-backstab effects. So that goes for Diamondback, Kunai, Your Eternal Reward, Big Earner, anything that requires Spy to get a kill has now been changed to be required on backstab. And as you can imagine, backstabs don't really kill anymore, so instead they'll do about 2.5% of Hale's health. While a backstab isn't as effective against Saxton Hale as it is against a normal player, even just 1 or 2 backstabs before dying in a 24-person server will be more than enough to help your team win. Another thing to note that has changed with Spy's initial kit are his invis watches. They still work largely the same as they do in casual, but they do get a 50% extra damage resistance from Hale on top of their default values, which makes you very hard to kill when you're invisible, and this stacks extremely well with the Dead Ringer. The final and probably most important thing to touch on before getting into the video is wall climbing. Now, wall climbing allows you to hit the wall with your melee and scale up it. You can hit it about 3 times to gain height before you stop gaining any height. Now, on paper it's a very useful tool, but I haven't really gotten around to using it very much yet. It's not the most necessary thing to perform well, but if you get good at it, it can be a really good trick stab and escape option, especially since Hale is significantly faster than you when he gets to lower health. Now that we've gotten all of the meaningful changes for Spy out of the way, let's get into the best loadout and strategy to beat him. I've got about 2 viable options I've come up with, the first of which being the Wii Blowout. Now this loadout is just a general Wii Spy loadout. You've got the Kunai, the Dead Ringer, and the L'Étranger. This loadout is great if you're going to be going for backstabs a lot. You can get in with the Kunai and then Dead Ringer away, and with max overheal you can even tank a Saxton punch. This loadout is going to be really good for aggressing. Even if you aren't able to get a stab on Saxton, the Dead Ringer is perfect for getting you out of there. Even with only 70 health, a Dead Ringer will let you tank about 2 Saxton punches. And once you run out of Dead Ringer charge, you can just resort to the L'Étranger and start charging your Dead Ringer up again very quickly. It helps that Saxton Hale is a very large hitbox, so the L'Étranger isn't very hard to charge at all, even from a distance. This loadout is going to be optimal for if you're being aggressive and you're rushing down Hale as much as you can. If you're good with trick stabs, you can stay in for a long time with the Kunai, getting backstab after backstab, even if you get hit. And even if you aren't great with trick stab, you can still get a couple stabs here and there and then get out with the Dead Ringer. This is probably Spy's most explosive loadout for the game mode. You won't have to rely on anybody else like medics or health kits, and you can stay up in Hale's face for a long time. With that being said, one misstep and you could be toast. While Saxton Hale can one-hit Spy with any of his loadouts, the lack of health you get on the Kunai can get really limiting if he focuses you down. And sometimes, for getting up close and personal, you won't even get an opportunity to get one backstab and you'll just die early on. So you've got to be very careful with how you play this loadout. Now, if you're looking for something that takes a little bit less technical skill but can still give you a lot of damage, I present to you the Cheese loadout. The Cheese loadout contains the L'Étranger, the stock knife, and the Dead Ringer. And what this loadout allows for is more long-term survivability, compared to the risky burst option of the Wii Blowout. My personal strategy for this loadout is using liberal use of the L'Étranger. I can just pester Saxton from a distance with this, and if he ever decides he's had enough, I can just pull the Dead Ringer out and get away. And the nice thing about this is I can take multiple Saxton hits with the Dead Ringer. You can go multiple hits from Saxton without having to pick up a health pack. So even if you're in a bad position, as long as you're hitting a couple of shots from your L'Étranger, you can make up for it. And as you could imagine, the L'Étranger doesn't do very much damage, especially from a distance, but it does add up when you're alive for the entire round. So as long as you're not making any missteps, you should be okay. When you do make it to the end of the round, you will get a large damage boost against Saxton if you're the only one left. So you can do thousands of damage even when you're just the last one alive. I personally think that the consistency of this loadout beats out the Wii Blowout, but I do think they are both still very good options. With the Cheese loadout, you also still have the option to go for a stab if you are feeling cocky, and you'll still be able to get out with the Dead Ringer. So the Cheese loadout is going to be my personal pick here, and my personal pick for the meta of Spy and Saxton Hale. Now, even though I do think that this is one of the better loadouts, there are still some weapon switches that you can make in either loadout. Let's take a look at some of Spy's other weapons and see if they can find a place here. Now, looking at the revolvers, although there are some better options for high damage, I don't think any of them can really beat out the pure utility of the L'Étranger. I'd much rather have the get out of jail free card of the L'Étranger paired with the Dead Ringer, although I can see some potential if you pair up another knife with one of the other watches. Even with something like Stock Invis or the Cloak and Dagger, you could use the Stock Revolver and maybe get some high damage from far away before cloaking away. The only problem is towards the end of the round when you get mini crits, Saxton Hale will be able to see you even when you're invisible. So the invisibility won't help nearly as much as the speed boost from the Dead Ringer. Going on to knives, you've got a couple of other options that could prove to be useful. Unfortunately, one of the options was patched out. The Your Eternal Reward on release wasn't a bad option to use. While now all it does is disguise you as the last mercenary that the Saxton Hale was playing as. Before, if you stabbed Saxton Hale with the Your Eternal Reward, it would give you a speed boost to max Saxton Hale speed. And this lets Spy get over one of his most difficult hurdles in this game mode, which is keeping up with Saxton Hale if you're going for a backstab. With any other knife, especially towards the end of the game, if you want to backstab on Saxton, you have to be chasing after him for a while. And if you even just have one mistake and he sees you, you could be as good as dead. But this would allow you to keep up with him and spend less time chasing. Unfortunately, it has been patched out. Now, on the topic of speed knives, though, the other speed knife choice we have is the Big Earner. And the Big Earner kind of fills an interesting middle ground between the kunai and the stock knife. The health reduction isn't as destructive as it is in the kunai. However, it is still less health that you pick up and less hits that you can tank. The main use for this knife is going to be getting one stab and then using the speed boost to get out. And while it seems good on paper, you could kind of already do that with the Dead Ringer. And if you wanted the cloak regen from stabbing somebody with this thing, you might as well just use the L'Étranger. While the Big Earner covers a lot of fields okay, I still think that it can't keep up to the L'Étranger Dead Ringer combo. Although I could see this being useful if you're using another Invis watch or if you're going for a more gun spy playstyle so that you didn't have to rely on your L'Étranger to survive. I could see it maybe pairing with a Diamondback. You get a backstab and then you back out with 2 crit shots. Even then you wouldn't be super hard to kill though. We'll just have to wait and see to see how the meta evolves in the future. I think those are the main weapon choices for Spy that you might consider using over the main loadouts I described here. They're not bad by any means, they're just not going to be as effective. So by all means go for them and experiment with them. Mixing it up never hurts anybody. I am looking forward to seeing how the Spy meta builds in this game mode because I think Spy is honestly a pretty strong pick here. I might even say he's better than Sniper. That is going to be the end of the video for now though. Thank you guys for watching and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video and you would like some more Spy content, be sure to subscribe and keep up with my future content. I'll see you guys in the next one.
I hope you don't. You can donate to me on Patreon. And no, I don't know why I'm whispering. You can check out this pretty cool fan art though. I think it's pretty awesome and funny. Because it's me. But if you want to get into a video, you can draw me or give me money. And you'll go right there. Yeah, you see, there's